I remember my humble self, Emilio Jeffrey Ikene, the CEO of Digital Oracle ICT Services, presenting today's training to you. So without wasting much of your time, we'll be going through the training objective, which entails the IP CCTV fundamentals, understanding the core system, because if you understand what you're deploying or if you understand what you're selling, you can seal up a deal as a salesperson. And as a technical person, when you understand the core system you are deploying, definitely you're going to deploy a seamless and top-notch solution for your client. So part of the training objective is for us to understand the core system and also the components and functions of all those systems. We'll be showing you through, we'll be introducing you to all these the system component and its function. I'll also be learning the installation and configuration proper, having an on-hand experience and setup procedure, because a whole lot of people talk about theory. At Digital Oracle, we don't just talk theoretical. We give you hands-on experience, mentor you, and guide you through your transition process till you are fully set up in terms of your salesperson or in the business angle, or you are fully becoming an engineer that will really go to the field and set up this installation. So also talk about the business and the sales aspect. I've also mentioned that explore the strategies to grow CCTV solutions through your sales funnels. So now the introduction to the CCTV system, type of cameras. Like I said, we do have two types of cameras. We have the analog cameras and IP cameras. The analog cameras are more like the old traditional analog cameras that doesn't support the IP cabling format and doesn't support more like a remote setup, and the IP cameras are the ones that runs on IP cameras on IP addresses. Like IP means the IP address of those cameras. You can reach those cameras on the IP. You can ping them. You can individually log into them and see what's going on. And also, though now in recent time, analog cameras can also have an equipment that can translate them to IP. So if you set up an analog camera, you have equipment that you can install that has internet. You can now remotely connect to them, but they have their own features and also their resolution. We'll get to that at the course of the training. Hope I'm not too fast. I want to carry everybody along. If I'm going too fast, call my attention. If you have any questions, please do well to contact me, and then I'm always here to guide you through the process, because this is what we do. For 15 years we've been doing this, so it's more like an interactive session as against being a lecture. This is not a lecture, so we're going to be interacting, and all that. So the key components of the CCTV system, like I said, entails the cameras. The cameras, like we have the cameras here. This is more like an IP camera system. We also have the NVR, the network video recorders. I'll be showing you this thing with time. I'll have all this equipment. We'll also be simulating a lab to install and show you how this thing works. So also have the network video recorders. So that's where all the whole recorded events in your CCTV system are being stored. All activity, all motion, everything the camera is capturing is being stored in the network video recorders, as it's called NVR. They also have the switches and the router. The switches are where the cameras are plugged. We have different port switches. We can have 16 port switch. We have 8 port switch. We have 48 port switch. So the switches determines the number of cameras you have. We'll be getting there. So if you are installing 16 ports, you're installing 16 camera channel, apparently you are expected to have a 16 port switch. If you are installing just 4 cameras, you're advised to get just maybe an 8 port or a 4 port switch and all that. So the router is what broadcasts the wireless connectivity for you to connect. So the switches and the routers, they are two different things. We'll be going into that when we are delving into the real practical setup and simulation. We also have the cables and the connectors. I'll be showing that too at the course of this, so you understand what the cables and the connectors are and what are their functions and what they do in the CCTV system. All that will be showcased in the course of this training series, because it's quite long, but due to time and all that, we'll be unleashing the content section by section and we'll carry along as we progress. So understanding the CCTV topology. advantage over analog. Like I used to say, analog used to be the old format, and now things are innovating and all that. So the IP cameras have higher resolution in terms of clarity, in terms of seeing who who is behind the camera in the scene. It has high resolution. Also, remote accessibility. Like I said, analog cameras do not have that capacity to remotely log into the cameras itself. But technology has actually made a device that you can log into the device, but you're not logging into the camera. So there are two different things, because you can log into the cameras individually with an IP base, but for the analog, you can't do that. Then scalability. In an IP system, it's easier to scale. If you have like 10 cameras today in an IP environment and want to scale it up to like 20 cameras, it's easier to scale it up as against analog. Because analog, you need to now start running a fresh cable and doing a whole lot setup when you want to scale. So yeah, IP camera system has more scalability functionality than the analog cameras and all that. So the network requirements for setting up the IP cameras will also be listed. For you to actually be remotely log into these cameras, there's always need to have a good network, which is bandwidth. So there's always need to, for the sales guys, if you're going to a client's end, there's always need to understand the network that works perfectly in that area. Is it Glow? Is it Airtel? Or is it Starlink? Is it what's it called? Whatever network. It's also good to make sure you are advising or recommending to the clients the right network that best suits that environment. So with time, I can show you, if you're going to a survey, how to check network connectivity within that area, and all that. There are tools to actually scan and know the network topology that is there. Is anybody raising their hand up? Okay, I don't think so. So IP addressing management. So on the IP addressing system, everything runs on an IP environment. So we'll be teaching you how the IP system is set up, the class of IP that is possibly used. So are you having a static IP? You need to have a dynamic IP system on the network. All that will be shown to you in the course of the classes. So you understand how to set up your IP, give the cameras the IP, give the MVR the IP address needed to log in and manage all these services. So you can also see the topology, the pictorial setup behind here. Like on the right hand side of you can see how it's connected, the IP connections. This what I've been explaining is just illustrated in a diagram here. You can see the internet, you can see the router hub, you could see someone connecting from their computers through a remote location. You can be in Canada, you can be anywhere. All you need is have internet on your computer or your laptop or your iPhone or your tab, whatever device you can connect to it. Then we'll have power over Ethernet. All these are network requirements for you to actually connect your IP CCTV. Because if you set up your IPTV without this network requirement, you cannot connect. You cannot remote into it. So it's always good when you are setting up or your network or your IP cameras, you need to really be very, very detailed when it comes to that network requirement, because that is the main backbone of your setup, that network. If you get it wrong, everything is wrong. Okay? Am I going too fast, or do you need to call my attention to? Can everybody hear me? Okay. Okay. I will go back a little. Let me show you guys what I mean. When I mean at the cameras, I think I will start showing you guys the MVR, the switches, the routers, the cables, the connectors, so you guys will really understand what I am talking about. So with me here, I have the router. This is a router that enables you connect your wireless cameras, because what we're deploying, you can have cameras that have cables. You can now plug them here. These are the ports where you plug your cameras, and then your internet goes in here, and then this guy now broadcast wirelessly. So you can have wired camera settings and then wireless camera setup. More just like here now. You see it. The camera goes in here, I will need to get a cable for that purpose. Just the, so the cable goes in here, and the other end of the cable goes directly into the camera end. So because the camera's end, so male and female, so you've connected. Apparently, you've successfully established a connection from the camera to your router for a start. Then we can also have our switch for a high-end setup. This is a Cisco switch. This is a Cisco switch. So this actually has more ports for higher distribution. We have 24 port switch. We have 16 port switch. So this is also need to also be in the network setup. All these are components that, if you look at that diagram I'm sharing, all these components are actually listed in that diagram, and so you can understand the setup. Where you see the switch, this is the switch. The switch has been connected from the switch to the router, to the IP cameras, and then to the internet and all that and that. So we also have our access points. You know, the difference between a router and an access point. All these things will be, when we are simulating the practical classes, you understand the difference between a router and an access point. You know, though the router can also do an access point, and some access point can do routing, but not all access point can do routing protocol and have a firewall set up in terms of security, port forwarding, and all that. You know, so the access point has a longer range. So what happens in the network setup is you're going to be picking network connectivity from the router to the access point. This access point has a higher coverage rate. You can have at least 200 or 300 users simultaneously running on an access point. You know, that's why the router is giving you the JCP that is being used on the network, while then the access control is now broadcasting that services. So with the access control, now you can now connect wireless cameras into your network. So when we're doing the setup, you understand, after setting up your access point, you can now start adding up your wireless cameras that are on the network and all that. That's for areas that cables might not get to. So once you have an access point to that place, you just install your wireless cameras around it, and all of them will be integrated into your network system that you are setting up. That. So I don't know if there's any question before we proceed. I've said a whole lot of things. You know, like I said, it's going to be a series. We're not going to exhaust everything today. You know, so for practical classes, you can actually reach out to contact us on our website or call the number that will be showing on your screen if you want personalized classes, or if you also have a project you want us to handle for you, or you've gotten the project, want us to consult us to actually advise you on the best approach towards executing this project. Yeah, at Digital Web Oracle, we have that consultation arm that actually consult for people in terms of whatever you want to do, and also have that arm that also set up the real deployment. I also have our sales team. So yeah, reach out to us on the number showing on your screen, and also watch this space, because we're going to be carrying on a journey towards the real CCTV installation setup, and also teaching you how to sell and the business part of the CCTV installation and all that. Okay, so thank you. I want to hear a question from the audience before we continue. I'll give you room for questions, observation before we continue. Thank you. Thank you. We have a whole lot to discuss, but for the needs of time and clarity, we just have to take it step by step, like the CEO said, and all that. I have a whole lot in terms of the strategy, the business sales strategy, you know, the troubleshooting common issues, you know, the practical class, step by step, mounting the cameras, running the network cable, configuring the MVR. All those things will be coming in on our next slide. So stay tuned and stay on this space as we take you through the journey of CCTV installation at Digital Web Oracle ICT services. Thank you. Thank you for listening in and staying with us.